This is another live radio link-up brought to you by the Government Communications, GCIS. GCIS. GCIS.
Thursday evening, the 6th of August 2015. Let me say it's a very good evening to you and welcome to our broadcast. It's brought to you courtesy of Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS, in partnership with the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, as well as the National Prosecuting Authority. We're going to call them the NPA in short. This is the 5th edition of the show. It's called the Let's Talk Justice, Live Your Rights show. My name is Karabolans. As I always say, ke setlogolo sa ba pedi le batabele ke thabela go ba le wena boshegong bja legono ra o mogela le wena motheletši gore le wena o karolo ya kgaso ya rena yona o itlišetšwa ke ba ga Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS, ga mmogo le kgoro ya toka le tšweletšopele ya molaotheo, that's the Justice and Constitutional Development, le the National Prosecuting Authority le bona ba tšea karolo mo kgasong ya rena ya bošegong bja legono xa ba ngmela nawe mlaleli kule lihlelo lethu siletholanga ba ga Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS, nomnyango we-Justice and Constitutional Development kanye ne-National Prosecuting Authority. Gama lam nguKarabolans Mpedi. Sizoba sonke thina nawe kushaya uhora lesishagalombili. There we go. Ladies, tonight's program is dedicated especially for you and put together for you. We're going to be talking about legal advice for women. That's the subject matter for this evening. So whatever legal questions that you might be having as a lady this evening, you're more than welcome to be in touch with us by way of telephone. We've got a very easy toll-free number that I would like you to engage us on. You won't be paying a single cent if you're going to be calling from a landline. It's very easy. 0800 142 446. That's 0800 142 446. Hey, if you're on Facebook as well, why do you have to be missing out on this one? You can also check us out on Facebook at the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Tweet us as well, but Tobadi Twitter. There we go. We've got a Twitter handle as well at DOJCD_ZA or ZA. ZA came American, they say it like that. So that's DOJCD_ZA. Let me welcome our guests for this evening. As I said to you, as we are commemorating Women's Month, and it's going to be all about the ladies and bringing their attention to the wonderful work they're doing and such wonderful people they are. So we saw it fit that we make sure that this evening the show is dedicated to them, and we're going to be chatting to them as well. I've got 3 of them whom I'm going to be talking to. 2 of them are in the studio, and we're still waiting for one of our guests to arrive. And let me just say hi very quickly and a good evening to you, Miss Amanda Vilagazi. She's coming from the South African Women's Lawyers Association, and she said to me, hey, listen, why didn't you tell me you're going to be on TV? I should have looked nice. And she actually is looking nice. I don't know why she's worried. Amanda, good evening to you.
Good evening to you, Karabo.
Glad to have you in the studio. Thank you so much for having made time to come and be part of this broadcast as well. And also just welcoming very quickly there Advocate Joey Mabute. And Advocate Mabute is coming from the National Prosecuting Authority. She's in charge for the unit that deals with sexual offenses and community affairs. So if you want questions with regards to that, you're more than welcome to actually hook us up, and Advocate will definitely be answering some of the questions that you might be having. Okay, we're going to be sorting some of the technical issues that we might be experiencing in terms of headphones and stuff like that in the studio, because it's quite a jam-packed one. I see all my guests are not wearing headphones, and I would like my producers to help me quickly here. I think Advocate Mabote, if you can just jump onto those ones here, and then we'll have Mevilagazi jumping on this one. There we go. Doesn't it look lovely? Where's the guy's buddy camera so we can take a good photo of this? 17 after 6 o'clock. Let me not hana too much, because it looks like I'm doing that, and I know that you as a listener, you definitely want to be in touch with us, and you definitely want to talk to us with regards to the subject matter for this evening. All right, there we go. whilst we're still waiting for Advocate Petunia Seabe Matope, she's the Chief Family Advocate from the DOJCD. Is she here? I've been told that she is a couple of seconds away from entering the studio. She's right here, actually. They just said, bring her in quickly. There we go. Why should we leave her out? Bring her in. That's the show for the ladies. And I got to give her the one. I've been given a warning by my producers, but today go off. I don't know what that means. I don't take idle threats, especially when I'm being surrounded by such beautiful ladies. There we go. You see, it's what we call a grand entrance. When you're waiting for the president, but it's a melangengoma. I wish my producers had played a song or two so that we can wait for Advocate Petunia Seabe Matope, who's just joined us. And it's a very good evening to you, Advocate Matope. I'm quite excited to have you joining us this evening as we are going to do our show this evening, talking to women. Very good evening to you. So there we go. We've got all three of the guests in the studio, and I think this is a good time to actually jump into the subject matter for this evening. South Africans commemorate Women's Month in August, as I said earlier on. Now, as a tribute to the more than 20,000 women who marched to the Union buildings on the 9th of August in 1956 in protest against the extension of the past laws to women. Now, the government of South Africa declared August Women's Month, and the 9th of August is celebrated annually as Women's Day. The theme for this year, this Women's Month, is Women United in Moving South Africa Forward. And one of the best ways to do that is to make available information to women for the sake of their empowerment so that they can be clued up as well. And in that way, together we'll then move South Africa forward with the ladies as well. So where do we start, basically, as we're talking about the subject matter, which really affects women? Let's start perhaps here. Some of the legal concerns that women often raise, as we interact with them. Let's maybe just find out. Maybe you can just start off there, Riwele, Advocate Matope. We can maybe bring us in as far as maybe there's some of the problems that you've encountered in your line of work as far as women is concerned legally.
Thank you for that. Mainly, it's I function in the civil litigation environment. Mm-hmm. And women will mainly complain about they are not able to afford the costs of litigation. That is the first thing. And another major complaint that comes through is women feel they enter the legal system, especially the adversarial legal system, where the people come in as plaintiff and defendant or applicant and respondent. They feel that they come in as the underdog.
Do you perhaps feel that women are aware or not aware of their constitutional right? Do you think maybe that's one of the big problems that we're experiencing?
The awareness levels are not where one would like them to be, yes. And that is probably what feeds into the perception that women come into the legal system as underdogs.
Mm-hmm. One of the exciting things is to see women in action as far as legal is concerned. We're talking about the South African Women's Lawyers Association, and representing them this evening, Ms. Amanda Vilakazi, who can maybe tell us as far as the choice of career to go into the legal front. Have we seen an increase with regards to women joining in the legal field?
I think we certainly have, and I think there's also statistics that have been released to that effect, although I may not be sure of the numbers, but it has increased incredibly, but except that there's still place for more improvement. Mm-hmm. I think that we should be seeing in the years to come more women lawyers coming to the fore.
And as far as, representation and women being accepted, do you think they're still having a challenge that they used to have in the past, or has it changed as well, or women are still looked down in this field of law?
Certainly Otherwise, we would not be receiving the kind of complaints that we are currently. In fact, I'm referring to the article that was released somewhere last year, wherein it was published that in your big law firms, they use our women lawyers as for window dressing purposes without actually giving them actual work to do. That would be maybe for BE purposes or for luring in a client. After the client has been lured in, that person does not handle the matter anymore. Therefore, you can't say they really gain any skills from that. It's a serious problem.
0800 142 446 0800 142 446. We'd like to invite you as a listener to take part, especially if you're a lady. Gentlemen, don't be left out. It's not that because this show is put together for ladies that gentlemen are not allowed to be part of it. In fact, I've got gentlemen producers this evening, joined by a couple of ladies. Some of them are Sundowns, but nonetheless, so we are joined by just a handful of people that have got skills and women part of them this evening. Quite excited. In fact, one of our camera ladies this evening, very skilled lady that I work with here, has joined us as well, just to represent and just to go with the theme, Women's Month, and we really, really appreciate it. 0800 142 446 0800 142 446. What are some of the issues that you're experiencing when as a lady, as far as legal is concerned? For instance, issues on maintenance. I know that 2 weeks ago we've spoken about the issues of maintenance and so forth. Maybe there's something that you would like to raise as far as that as a lady that you feel that perhaps that it needs attention at the specific moment. Would like you to call in, and you can also join us on Facebook as well at the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Otherwise, you can tweet us as well, and the tweet handle is at DOJCD_ZA. That's at DOJCD_ZA. 24 after 6 o'clock. Welcome to it if you've just joined us. My name is Karabolans Kistokolo Sabapedil Batebele Tabela Hobalo and There we go. Let's talk about the issues sexual offences and community affairs, which is a unit that you're representing, Go NPA, Advocate Mabote. What are some of the cases that you've dealt with recently that perhaps they need to be spoken about and they need to be given attention so that people can know and people should know how to deal with it?
Good afternoon to the listeners and good afternoon to you, sir. As you said earlier, I need to correct that I'm just representing sexual offences and community affairs. I'm not the head thereof.
Right.
Yes. The recent cases that we could, without mentioning them by name, yeah. We have recently had a lot of cases whereby you'd find that children are sexually molested or are involved in sexual activities with maybe the father or the stepfather or the uncles or whoever person that could be within their family representatives. The challenge that we are having, as I am specifically responsible for domestic violence, is that we are faced a lot with more cases that between the families, between the people that are in a domestic relationship, between the families that are depending on each other. So we have encountered that most of the victims, though we're not saying that men are not like victims of domestic violence, most of the victims are females and girl children. So it is our concern as the National Prosecuting Authority that this matter should be preached in all the communities. And within our unit we also have a project that we call Ndabezita project, whereby we go to the rural communities, because as much as one of the questions that you asked to Advocate Seabi is that are the community members aware of their constitutional rights? Yes, in some instances, like especially in the urban areas, but the rural communities, they know that there is a book that is called the Constitution, but they don't know about the provisions thereof and how it is of use to them. So with this project in Diversity, what we do, we go to the communities, we go to the rural communities, teach them about their rights, teach them about the provisions of the the Domestic Violence Act, explain to them what is domestic violence, who can be involved in the domestic violence, where do you go, how can you apply, what remedies are available for you as a victim of domestic violence. So we appreciate this move as well, to make sure that all the communities are also reached in media processes
media platforms.
as well. Yes.
Yeah, but now when this is a question that I've always wondered, in a sense, reporting, which is, I believe, is a big issue, and we've heard stories of ladies being trapped in relationships where there's domestic violence, but you find and they don't want to speak about it. Do you find it's easier now with the information that we give ladies, that they come out and they can speak about it, or do you still feel maybe they're still trapped in a bit, and then they don't want to they don't want to expose themselves and talk about this?
There are those communities that are still trapped, or there are those people that are still trapped, in the sense that, remember, the challenge that people have is not only that it's easy to talk. The challenge sometimes is that I'm depending on the respondent or the perpetrator. Therefore, I cannot be in a position to report him or to take steps against him, or like he's my husband, he's the father of my children, he's the uncle, he's the sole provider within the family. So taking steps is a bit of a challenge. And yes, in like I said earlier, in the urban areas it's a bit easier for people to speak. It's a bit easier for people to approach the relevant forums for assistance. But in the rural communities, it's a bit of a challenge, mainly because in rural areas, most of the challenges that we have is like, if I am married, I belong to my in-laws. If I am married, I need to oblige to the rules of the in-laws. So you'd find sometimes that when I have to go and report, I'll be looked at as a shameful woman who disgraces the family, who take the husband to court, a woman who doesn't have, the interest of the family at heart, who looks at her own interest other than the interest of her children. So it's a bit of a challenge in the rural communities, hence our Ndabezitha project. And I can promise you, in most instances where I attended the public awarenesses, you'd find that people don't really know that this is one of the things that is not supposed to be happening. They think like, when I'm married, when the person that marries my husband, I'm one of, I form part of the furniture. He can use me as and when he pleases. Even like, in the bedroom issues, it's like I cannot go and report that, he's sexually abusing me, because one of the things that he bought is that thing. You understand?
0800 142 446. Very interesting to be finding out a whole lot more about these type of problems that we're facing, and I would like you to, as a listener, to join us in by way of calling in with your questions or comment. 0800 142 446, 0800 142 446, or you can join us on Facebook at the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Otherwise, you can tweet us as well. Our Twitter handle, very easy, at DOJCD_.za, at DOJCD_.za. Let's track back a little bit and just find out a little bit more, because I'm almost wondering if people do know about the South African Women Lawyers Association, and I just jumped, a step forward without even trying to paint a picture of who this organization really is and what do they do. Maybe let me take a couple of steps back and Amanda, just to give us a little bit of a picture in terms of who are you as an organization or as an association? What do you guys do? Are you representing, or what is it exactly that the South African Women Lawyers Association do?
A South African Women Lawyers Association is an association that comprises of legal professionals, obviously women legal professionals. Its core mandate is to advance the interest of women legal practitioners in the profession. As we have mentioned earlier, that women have not been not fully emancipated, although we are of the view that we are getting there. A South African Women Lawyers Association is just there to promote or to make sure that women are fully emancipated in the profession, especially on issues of getting more instructions for our women lawyers, those who are practicing, both attorneys and advocates. Further, that we also there's issues also that were raised on previous occasions of sexual harassment for women attorneys practicing, or women who have been promised a whole lot of things in the profession by in a way also sexually harassing them. A further mandate of SAULA is we have a relationship with the Department of Justice, wherein, like, next week is our Access to Justice Week. We will be on all courts in the Republic, there to give free legal advice to everyone who walks in court. So everyone is allowed to come. They will find our people, or our women lawyers, with their they would have set up everything at the court where you can come, just walk in, and you will be given a free legal advice. Further, another mandate which is pending is we are dealing with the issues of women in prison, wherein we would remember we are lawyers. The only service we could provide for them is legally related. Those who are interested in doing appeals, those who have left children at home, who you'd find that a mother is incarcerated, she left children at home, she does not know what happens to them. There's obviously a form of where we can be involved. For instance, getting them placement, or where a husband dies when a woman is in custody, you find we assist them in terms of having the estate reported, such and such things. But obviously it depends on each and every case that comes before us. We don't just assist everybody. We are involved in women in prison also. Yeah.
All right. 0800 142 446, 26 minutes just before 7 o'clock. Let's take one or two callers and find out what the people have got to say so far with regards to the issues that we're talking about. Let's chat to you, Catherine. Catherine, good evening to you. Where are you calling from?
Hi.
Hi, Catherine. Yes. What is your question or comment, Kath?
I've got a lot of problems. The first one is I was abused by somebody. It's a man, and it's now, I remember 2006, and I tried to keep this quiet. So I used to listen to this radio every time, so it encouraged me a lot, and I really need help.
All right, Catherine, without giving too many details, let me just try to establish the relationship that you have with this person that's abusing you. What are they to you? Is that the husband to you? Is it a friend or a colleague?
Yes, I can say he was my husband, because we married and I've never stayed with him even 1 year. So we signed administrate. He abused me a lot.
All right. Have you spoken to anyone about this matter? Have you reported the matter to the police? Have you spoken to some of the family members for intervention?
I've tried to search for him to the other lawyers at the court. They say I must go and search for him. I can't find him. I don't know what to do.
All right. Catherine, I tell you what I'm going to do, because I don't want to get into many details about it on air. It's quite a sensitive case, this I'm picking up. Yeah. So I'm going to have my producers take your number quickly, and then we'll have one of our guests to respond to you to see how they can help. Especially, Memabote, is that the case that you would maybe try to help and deal with?
Yes.
All right, Catherine. I'm gonna have Advocate Joey Mabote to give you a call, even after the show, I presume, to give you a call and establish, the way forward from this, and we're gonna definitely try to tackle this issue. And then you've just mentioned that person, by the sound of it, they're not staying with you. Abanilwen at the moment.
No, that man, he was staying together at Mamelodi, so I left there. I came back here at home.
Okay, 100%. We're going to try to establish all of that stuff, and we'll definitely deal with the problem. Thank you so much, Catherine, for your bravery in calling in, because you never know. Maybe the person's even listening, and it's going to be another issue. But your bravery for having picked up your phone and call us for help, we'll definitely respond to it, and that is what we're here for. 0800 142 446. Let's go to Glencoe, and we're speaking to Thulani Mdunge. Bratools. Yebo baba. Umbuzo wakho uthini?
Umbuzo wami uqonde kubaba lo lapho umama laba lapho Karabo.
Yebo.
Umbuzo wami uqonde nokuthi ke uyazi leyakhulukazi le ndaba ye women abuse. Iyakhulukazi uthola ukuthi obaba uyaboshwa ubaba ubusithola ukuthi omama laba bayamkhipha ethi ngoba babo ingane zakhe amkhiphe ejele seboshiwe. Sinenkinga thina madoda singathanda ukuhlukumezeka abantu esinami ngoba siyafisa ungabe umuntu ohlukumeza abantu esinami uyaboshwa uthola ukuthi mase boshiwe bese mkhipha yena emva kubethi ngoba kwengane zakhe uyamondla yena ondlayo beqhubeke ehlukumezeka leyo nto yasikhathaza kakhulu.
Okay, Bratools, thank you so much for having given us a call. I think I've just captured the gist of what you want to bring to our attention. We really appreciate it. 22 minutes just before 7 o'clock. If you've just joined us, it's a very good evening to you. This is our show that we bring to you every Thursday, and it's called the Let's Talk Justice, Live Your Rights show. My name is Karabalans. In the studio, I'm joined by Advocate Petunia Sabe Matupe, Chief Family Advocate from the DOJCD, as well as Ms. Amanda Vilagazi, South African Women Lawyers Association, and not forgetting Advocate Joy Mabute, National Prosecuting Authority. Mabute, this is not probably the first you hear about cases outside Alibo, Catherine, for instance, where abuse is just an order of the day with somebody and they don't know what to do.
Yes. What I would like to maybe understand from the caller is, because I couldn't understand when she said Uile Abuele, the lawyer, Kokoto. I could not get the gist of the matter for the concern here high. But what I would like to say is that if they were married or they're no longer married, it doesn't matter. They're still in a domestic relationship.
Right.
What she can do is to go to the nearest magistrate court. If she's in Hammanskraal, she can go to Hammanskraal. I think it's Temba Magistrate Court.
There is a court in Temba, yes.
Yes, Temba Magistrate Court, where she could go and approach the clerk of the court.
Okay.
The clerk of the court would assist her in applying for a protection order. It's not necessary for her to go and look for the ex-husband, for as long as she can have an address where she knows that he's residing, then she can give all the details to the clerk of the court. The clerk of the court would assist her in completing the application form, and on the very same day of the application, she will leave that court with an interim protection order that would temporarily protect her while waiting for the order to be made final against the respondent. But it should be noted that that can only be effective if the respondent knows about the application, or if the respondent knows about the interim order. But what she needs to do is to have the physical address of the respondent, because all the documentations cannot be served on any other person but the respondent.
She just mentioned, if I heard her correctly, that she doesn't even know where the person is.
But I thought she said they were staying together in Mamelodi. So she left Mamelodi to her, I don't know whether it's the mother's place or her own place, but they were staying together in Mamelodi.
Yeah.
Maybe if she can be in a position to locate that, or to verify or to just check where he is residing,
right,
then the clerk of the court would get assistance from either the police or the sheriff to make sure that those documentations are served on him.
Thulani called in, and he's quite worried about, the ladies dropping cases somewhere where they've actually reported somebody's been abusive to them, especially somebody who they're helping them in the family. It could be a husband for that matter, and again another provider, as we said earlier on, in the family, and they find once they've put a case forth, the person gets arrested and gets incarcerated as well, but due to poverty, they tend to go back, release that person because they want provision. How do you deal with matters like that just to ensure maybe people are stable wherever they are? And maybe Advocate Petunia, you can jump into this one. How do we make sure that we don't stop them from dropping these cases, but we tend to inform them that could be a bad idea because this could happen again?
Like Advocate Mabote mentioned earlier, the intimacy of the relationship sometimes gets into the cause of justice. The people have got an intimate relationship, and when the perpetrator of the violence becomes arrested, for whatever reason, the partner wants that person back in the house. Economic dependency is the other thing. If the person that is incarcerated is a person that puts bread on the table, the one that pays, for instance, for the children's school transport, and when the municipal account is due next week, and they are the ones that are going to be paying for that, it is not always easy for the victim of the violence to sustain the case right up to the end. There are safe houses that victims of violence can go to for their own physical safety, but it becomes a little complex when also there's children and all these emotional other issues that arise.
Because normally you would think they would have to take the kids with, and it becomes a bit messy as well.
Absolutely, and it's disruptive for the routine of the children and so on.
0800 142 446, 0800 142 446. Let's go all the way to the Western Cape, Cape Town. I believe Cape Town is very cold this evening, Carol.
Did you hear my story now?
Ek het nie gehoor nie. Carol, what is your story?
Oh, no. I'm working 29 years in this company, and my husband is a pensioner. But now he want to divorce me, then he want half of my provident money. Now isn't there a way, because I got 11-year-old child still in the house, and we live together. We not divorced, but we separated. Is there any way that I can't give him anything, or just 1%?
All right. Stay on the line, Carol. There might be follow-up questions.
Are they married?
Okay, how are you married to them? Are you married in community of property or otherwise?
Yeah, married in community of property, yes.
Advocate Matope? Stay on the line for me, Carol. Stay on the line for me.
Okay.
Yeah, marriage in community of property presupposes a joint estate, and when it is ended in a divorce, there is the strong likelihood that the parties will have to share the property that is in the estates, including the provident funds and the pensions and so on.
Really?
But then there is also an opportunity for her to claim forfeiture, which is not an easy claim to make, but it is possible that the husband can forfeit his half share of the estate.
What could be the reasons that, say, if a claim for forfeiture, for instance, if it's granted, on what basis would that be?
It's for a variety of reasons. Every case is taken on its own merits. For instance, a partner that has been deserted for a long time in the marriage, where the other person claiming half of the estate was not contributing or assisting financially and so on, that would be one obvious ground that the court will agree that this person can forfeit. But each and every case must be taken on its own merits.
All right.
If I can add.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Further, I think the court most of all would look at the issue. It looks at three things before it makes its decision on forfeiture. It will look at the duration of their marriage, the substantial misconduct on the other party. She's mentioning that he deserted the home for 11 years. It could be a substantial misconduct, and the court will thirdly look at what has led to the breakdown of the marriage. If the husband was responsible for the breakdown in the marriage, the court could also consider to grant a forfeiture order. So yeah, it's a difficult one, but it's possible.
Okay. Again, let's go back. Carol, hang in there. I want you to listen to this very carefully now, Carol.
Yeah, okay.
Forfeiture. Are you explaining? Let's make it easy for those people. Baba Saud in some of these legal terms that we have. What is forfeiture? You want to jump in there, Advocate?
Forfeiture would mean an instance whereby we have accumulated the assets together, ne? And for one or two reasons that the court might deem fit, you are, as the other party, or maybe the respondent or the applicant, are requested to say, as much as we have this property together, but I think you do not qualify to have a share of this property because, one, maybe you did not contribute to the being of this property. Maybe you, she said that she was deserted for quite some time. Part of the estate that she has accumulated, he did not form part of. Therefore, he cannot. It's like you would be undue enrichment. You would be benefiting from something that you did not contribute. So it should be part of her plea to say, she's been staying alone for quite some time. She's been working alone, and then she's been maintaining the children as well, financially and in kind as well. And therefore, since she has been responsible solely for all these things, she needs to then request that the other party must not benefit out of that. Because remember, when we say the marriage in community of property, people have to go 50-50. It means he should also bring part of his share.
All right, Carol, are you happy with that explanation?
Yeah, thank you, and I'm very happy about it.
Okay, where about in Cape Town are you?
In Atlantis, in Protea Park.
In Protea Park, is there a court that she can go? Is there somebody that she can
probably go to the legal aid if she'll to see if she qualifies for what do you call for them to assist her. Remember, a forfeiture order, I don't think she'll be able to execute the divorce on her own when she's looking for a forfeiture order. She must approach an attorney, or if she can't afford one, try the legal aid. And if she doesn't qualify for legal aid, she'll have to go for a private attorney.
All right, 0800 142 446, 0800 142 446. We'd like to hear from you as a listener. What is it that you got to say with regards to this? And thank you so much, Carol, for having given us a call. And we definitely wish you all the best in whatever you're going to be dealing with. And just in case you want to, call the Legal Aid Board, I'm going to give you their number in a short while. And if you want to engage them, you can certainly do that. It's quite a sad story, this. But now it brings me to my next question, which deals with, we've just heard now, obviously now the divorce is not in place. I've heard about something where somebody was worried about the fact that their ex-husband is aware that they're working, and once maybe their pension payouts is due, they can come back and claim some form of percentage to that, something along those lines. So in other words, if you're married to somebody in community of property, you break up with them or you get into a divorce situation, they can come back at a later stage when your stuff is out. I see you shaking your head there, Advocate.
If the marriage is already dissolved and the sharing is not part of the court order, they can't come afterwards and claim on the basis of marriage. Perhaps if there is another basis for that claim, but if it is just on the basis of marriage, they cannot come back after dissolution.
Can a divorce decree state that even after the divorce, somebody can come back and claim?
It can.
Can it?
Yeah.
On what basis would that be?
Marriage and community of property. Remember, some of these pension fund administrators do not want to release the pension interest immediately. They would wait until such time it matures. Do they say it matures, ne?
Yeah.
at that point it's where he could get his share of the joint estate, but he will be getting his pension interest from the day of marriage to the day of divorce. So whatever you accumulated after the day of divorce, he is not entitled to.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I've got a couple of questions following to that. 9 minutes. No, it is a personal one. I'm totally honest with you. It's got nothing to do with me, though. I'm still married. I still have a beautiful wife that I need to go to after the show. 0800 142 0800 142 446. You guys are putting me in a corner, man. Okay, let's take Anonymous from Cape Town. Anonymous?
Hello.
Good evening to you. How are you doing?
Hi, good evening. I'm well, thanks. Yourself?
All right, let's talk. How can we help you?
Okay. Please, man. I'm actually an admitted advocate, right? But I haven't practiced as such. And I'm trying to get into the Department of Justice, National Prosecuting Authority, or judiciary in any which way. I've actually submitted application now for the aspiring prosecutor training, but unfortunately my age is against me, even though I submitted the application anyway. I want to know if the South African Women Law Association, if they assist with training, because I've done 4 to 5 years application to the Cape Bar Council and I haven't been successful. I've applied for articles and yeah.
All right, just hang on the line. We might be having follow-up questions. Did you guys hear that clearly, Mevi Lagazi?
She's talking about an admission to the bar. I didn't get that.
All right.
Is she saying she's got a criminal record, something like that?
Anonymous, do you want to clear that? We're just having difficulty.
Yeah.
No, you don't have. I couldn't hear you today. All right, okay. All right, but we couldn't hear you clearly. Are you wanting to get into the practice itself and to practice as a lawyer, or what is it that you want to do?
In fact, I'm an admitted advocate.
Right.
But I've been trying to get in to do my pupillage.
Okay.
Pupillage.
Or to at least get into the Department of Justice where I can actually start practicing.
Okay.
All right, okay. Hold.
I haven't been successful and I'm actually a bit worried because my age is actually against me.
All right, 100%. Just stay on the line quickly. And then we'll hear what Mevi Lagaz has got to say.
You said you are an admitted advocate. Are you currently practicing?
No, I'm not.
You're not practicing? And you are interested in joining the Department of Justice? Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Or you're trying to do pupillage?
I'm trying to get in for pupillage. 4 years in a row I've been unsuccessful. I've been sending applications to the Department of Justice to get in, but I've been unsuccessful. And I've also recently submitted applications for the aspiring prosecutor training that I am unfortunately not qualifying for because of my age, but I've submitted the application anyway.
I suppose that would be an issue which the Department of Justice themselves would have to answer, because yes, we can assist as SAULA to let you know of opportunities that are available for you, but the person that is going to employ you is the one that has the last say. Remember, we can tell you there's an opportunity available here, put in your CV. There's an opportunity available somewhere, you put in your CV, but we can't, impose on the employer as to who him or he must hire. But we could certainly let you know of opportunities. And you can be a member of SAULA if you want to.
Okay, that's what I wanted to find out. You don't do actual in-service training or where you can shadow an advocate or an attorney just to get the practical experience?
I suppose that would be for our individual members to assist you. We have lots of attorneys and lots of advocates who are members. So should you maybe join, you would be able to network with some of them and ask them directly.
Okay, fine. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll get your number at the end of the call.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you
It's
so
like
much.
you've read my mind,
Thank you.
Anonymous. I will definitely give those numbers at the end of the show. Thank you so much for calling in. 5 before 7, going all the way to Cape Town. And is it Mtaza in Cape Town? Mtaza, good evening to you. Mtaza? Mtazas, good evening to you. Okay, I think we've lost Taza there. Taza all the way from Cape Town. Looking forward to be hearing from you as well. 0800 142 446. That's 0800 142 446. All right, and I believe Mtaza is on the line. Mtaza, good evening to you. Hello, Mtaza in Cape Town. 4 minutes just before 7. All right. So those are some of the, those are some of the issues that we're encountering. And Nikita, we're gonna go back to that one of mine, but that one will do off air. It's not my show. You see, Kishore, the listeners. I'll just make sure, or just before you go out of the gate, I've written all the notes that I need to ask you guys so that you can give me advice as well. All right. Let's talk about the Office of the Family Advocate and what they do. Can somebody help me on that and just to elaborate on me? Or a family of the office, family advocate, the responsibility of Bonaki.
The Office of the Family Advocate. Let me say it this way: their key activity is to promote and protect the best interest of children. They come in where there are disputes over parental responsibilities or parental rights. The intervention is twofold. We can offer a mediation service where we try to assist the parties to come to an agreement without them going to court.
Okay.
And then also matters that are before the court, we can assist the court by doing an investigation. We've got a social work component that we call family counselors. They assist the family advocates to interview the children, speak to children's schools and so on, and then compile a report that will assist the court in coming to a conclusion on matters that affect the children.
Mm-hmm. How true is the statement, Sahore, primarily the child needs to stay with the mother? Based on what basis would it be? Regardless of what, even though the father is fine, he's not a drunk and is not abusing alcohol or drugs, how true is that statement, Sahor? Primarily the mother, first point of contact.
There's no truth in that. It is the child is central. You look at the needs of the children, and I think that is where the social work component, the family counselors come in handy. You look at the child, their developmental stage, their needs as an individual child, and then you check with the parents which parent is more suited to respond to the needs of the child. We've had very many cases where children have been awarded to the father, for instance, as the primary resident parent, where mothers are only getting visitations and so on. It is primarily about the child. So you look at the age of the child, these are their needs. An older child has got a different set of needs, and then we look at the circumstances of the parent and probably the history of the parents before they got into a dispute, how they were involved in responding to the needs of the child. That also assists, and then you would make a recommendation as to which parent should be the primary residential parent.
Jeez, wow. Okay, because all along, I mean, I've been hearing people say, "No, bro. No, I mean, Mama have to be insane, cuckoos in here before you could even lay your hands on the child. That's the only way that the law can even give you the child, for instance." So we're saying that's a myth.
No, there's no truth in that.
Let's go to Uppington. Let's chat to Renee. Renee, good evening to you. Renee?
Hello.
Hi, Renee. Good evening. What is your question or comment?
Hallo Karabo en ook goeienaand aan die paneel. My vraag is, ons is in Uppington in die Noord-Kaap en ek is seker jy is bewus daarvan dat dit baie vast is en daar's baie landelike gebiede in die Noord-Kaap self. En omdat daar so baie landelike gebiede is baie van hierdie vroue, omdat dit die onderwerp is waarop gefokus word, is baie van hierdie vroue, is daar inligting wat ontbreek by hierdie vroue. Dat is so van 'n lack of kommunikasie. En wat ek graag wil weet vanaf die paneel, watter tipe vorme van regsadvies kan vroue gebied word, wat erg gebuk gaan onder domestic violence het, dit is dat hulle skei sake aan die gang het en hulle het geen finansies om dit aan die rol te sit nie en soveel andere wat regsadvies nodig, maar hulle weet nie watter kanale om te volg nie. Dit sal basies alwees Karabo, dankie.
Next for you, Ranki. Okay, this one's got to do with information, really, especially in areas like far-fetched areas, Southern Northern Cape, where people feel, which is not true. I mean, we do get to them as government, but there are people who are saying, look, we know that you're active as government, but more information after a bit of a while. What is it that perhaps the department is doing in terms of accessing those places, making sure information is getting to these ladies in order, like I said at the beginning of the show, to empower them?
Like I said earlier, from the National Prosecuting Authority, we have a Diversity project. Then Diversity project, we go to all the provinces, the 9 provinces, including the Western Cape, where there is traditional leaders, and you can tell traditional leaders are only in the deep rural areas. So we go to those areas. The unfortunate thing that is happening is that, we cannot be in a position to reach all the areas within a very short space of time, but we are doing that. And the other challenge that I think our people has is that, people are not like that, interested in some instances in visiting the nearest offices just to check what is happening, what are you doing in this office, just to seek for information, And like I said earlier, as you said, people most of the time have got this myth that is like, ruling their daily lives to say, as a person you have this, as a person you have this. So they feel like, they see us as the enemy, especially the criminal justice system. They cannot be in a position to go to the magistrate court and seek information. The best places that they visit is maybe DSD or that is the office that they frequent, but the magistrate courts, they don't go there, but information is there. And in some instances you'd find even there are also like information desk in the magistrate offices, whereby people can have all these things. And like now, this is one of the community outreaching program where we say people should know. And it's not only the local radios, even the provincial radio stations, we do that. We also have the TV program where we do presentation. We endeavor and we do our best to say people must be informed. And I can tell you, I can promise you, when you go to even now in April, I was in one of the rural communities in Northern Cape. I went there to do a public awareness, but I can promise you every time when we visit they would be saying, wow, this we didn't know happens.
Well, I didn't know most of the stuff that you spoke about.
And you can imagine if you are sitting in the heart of Pretoria, you don't know about these things. What about a person in the deep rural area? You understand?
Further, if I may say, Saula also works with the Department of Social Development on their road shows. We give this information to people for free. On the DSD of Gauteng, wherever they go, even in rural Gauteng, we have rural Gauteng, if you didn't know, by the way. We reach them.
They're going to deny it. Yeah.
We do have rural Gauteng. We do.
Where?
I'll give an example. Sokhulumi, next to Brongospread. That's a rural. No, it's very rural.
No, it's a traditional land. And there is a traditional, this Nkosi Mahlangu.
But let's talk about that aspect, and maybe just 3 minutes before we close. We're actually running out of time. How difficult it is to penetrate through those areas, taking into consideration things outside our body, culture, tradition, and maybe as women representing your departments or your units. How difficult it is to actually be able to function in those type of areas, taking into consideration those factors?
When we started within Diversity, we were in an alliance. We are in fact in an alliance with the Department of Justice, the Department of Justice and the National House of Traditional Leaders.
Right.
So what we have done is that we created an understanding to say to the community, to the House of Traditional Leaders, you are the custodian of culture. we only act the custodian of legislation.
Right.
We understand how legislation works, how it can be implemented. You know how tradition and custom can be implemented. So let's come together with the aim of empowering our community. Then what we did is that we trained the traditional leaders themselves. There are traditional leaders that we have trained, and after training those traditional leaders, then we agreed with them, because remember, the problem that you need to do is you cannot, in terms of the tradition, you can't come to my community without me being involved, So we want their favor first before we can speak to them, because even the community, when you don't have the favor of their traditional leader, they would not even listen to you. So we roped in the traditional leaders. We have this tripartite alliance with them, and then thereafter we then went to the community. So it's easier for us to go to the communities and talk to them through the traditional leaders as well, and the indunas.
So much to talk about and so very little time. Anyway, it happens every week that it hits time, and we look at the time and it's time for us to actually shut it down. But I'm glad that we've covered some of the stuff and most of the stuff that we were to talk about, and I'm glad that we could be able to introduce to you certain people that are taking care of certain areas, like for instance the National Prosecuting Authority, the NPA, Mobatilanga Sexual Offences and Community Affairs. We introduced to you the South African Women Lawyers Association, as well as a Chief Family Advocate from the DOJCD, Elimena Petunia Sabi Matope. Me Petunia, are you alright? Are you alright? Are you?
Yes, I am.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
Good stuff. All right. But thank you so much, ladies, for having taken some time to be with us. I feel very honored. It's not often that I would have people of your caliber coming into the studio. So I was very looking forward to the show. Mema Tope, would you like to maybe your final words to say goodbye to the listeners?
I want to wish all the women a very happy Women's Month. Excuse me. And I encourage women to stand up and exercise your rights. Your rights are protected by the Constitution of this country.
There we go. Advocate Petunia Sabe Matope there. Metia Guy Bafutu, where's water? Metia Guy. People are going to get fired this evening. I've got a dozen of producers. None of them are rising up. I have to do everything myself. Tadikwala these cameras right now. Okay. Advocate Mabote, your final words?
My final word is that women should love themselves enough to not give up on being themselves.
Right. Powerful. I'll make sure I do that. All right, Mevila Gazi?
Yes, my final words to the listeners is that the women should continually develop themselves, because it is through our emancipation that we will not allow men to look down on us, men to abuse us. It is only when we are economically emancipated that we would be able not to allow them to treat us in the manner they are doing now.
There we go, my three guests this evening. That's Advocate Petunia Sabe Matope, Ms. Amanda Vilagazi, as well as Advocate Joey Mabote. Ladies, thank you so much for having taken some time to be with us this evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Okay.
All right, there we go. Somebody said, God was not a fool when he created a woman. When God created a woman, he actually looked and I'm going to do something. I'm going to create somebody that can help him. Ladies are there in our lives, not for us to look down on them, not for us to abuse them, but they are there in our lives to actually complement us as well. Let's take care of our ladies. Gentlemen, let's be gentlemen-like. 10 minutes after 7 o'clock, Karabolans, Stolo Sabapidil Bantebele. Let's meet again next week, Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your evening.